Wow. Oh yes.
In all the Russell sherry barrels.
Right, we're at King's Cross. First stop M&S to get some lunch for the trip. Try and see if I can actually work out how to use this camera. I do love a wrap. Film very much on the train because it feels a little bit obnoxious, but I'm going to the toilet now, so I thought I'd just say that I'm still here and see if I can get some shots of some scenery. So look at this. Where's the door? Is that the right one?
We will call at Edinburgh Waverley only.
Operation on this service for your safety and security.
Next stop is Edinburgh, we're nearly there. Right, I've arrived now to get to the hotel before the whiskey tasting experience of some kind that I've forgotten the name of. What's it called? Gold Tour Whisky Experience, something like that. I friggin' love this place. Sorry. Walking up the stairs just so I don't have to share the lift with anybody. It's nice of them to light a fire. They always have a safe. Oh, wait, I'm still working out how to use this camera. They always have a safe, but like, does anyone ever use that? I don't think so. This is the bathroom. And through here, there is a lovely view of Edinburgh Waverley Station. Now, whilst it is all very exciting to be back in Edinburgh, I need to remember that I'm here for a reason. So we've got 2 distilleries tomorrow that we're visiting. This evening, later on, I'm going to go to the world's biggest whiskey collection, I think. And all of this is an aid of us learning what kind of whiskey would be good in a jam. Is there going to be something that can hold up flavour-wise? Is it going to work at all? I hope it does. Yeah, so we're here for a reason as well as fun. P.S. Please bear with me whilst I'm getting used to this whole vlogging stuff because I'm used to doing short form things on TikTok, but I wanted to show you guys more. So I'll probably, until I get used to it at least, fall over my words just like I did then because I can't edit them. I've got about an hour until my tour starts, so I figured I'd actually read up on what this place is all about that I'm supposed to be going to. It's called Scotch Whisky Experience. Scotland's whole whiskey story in one place. Welcome to the award-winning The Scotch Whisky Experience, the home of Scotch whisky. A 5-star visitor attraction at the top of Edinburgh's Royal Mile. Royal Mile? Why did I say it like that? We've been inspiring visitors to Edinburgh about the joys of Scotch whisky for over 35 years. The main attraction of this place, though, is the massive Scotch whisky collection that they have. So it says, welcome, the Diageo Clave Vidic, or VIDIZ. Really sorry for anyone who's South American. Scotch Whisky Collection found its home at the Scotch Whisky Experience in May 2009 and is the jewel in the crown of our tour and tasting experiences. Every visitor to one of our tours has the opportunity to view the stunning collection, drinking in the amber glow from 3,384 bottles of golden spirit. So this guy's just collected all sorts of Scotch whiskies from around the world, from the most basic ones to ones that are super rare. And then as part of the tour, we're hopefully going to be tasting some Scotch and learning more about it, which should be helpful when it comes to making our jam. It's weird because I feel like bad weather suits Edinburgh. Like, if it was like this when I was at home, I'd be really pissed off, but yeah, it just kind of works. It's moody. So we're on the Royal Mile and we've reached our destination, the Scotch Whisky Experience. I'm out of breath, I'm not used to these hills.
Feel free to take as much photographs as you like. All I ask is no flash photography. Take any photographs of me, just make sure I look good.
I am born from the storm. I began life in the rains that fall across this land and fill its veins.
Some people argue it's the most important piece. Those people are called cookers. Here is the hard work building and maintaining your own casks. Takes about 4 or 5 years to master this ancient skill. So far I've been talking lots and lots about one type of whiskey that is good old fashioned single malt Scotch. But the other types of Scotch whiskey make here in Scotland.
Whoa.
So, welcome my friends. Bring all your belongings, bring your whiskey. We're going to go through and do a tasting through here.
Wow. Oh yes. Oh my god. That is a couple of whiskies.
I'm in here 3 times a day. Every single time I notice a bottle I've never seen before. Step number 2, swirl the whiskey. Little droplets come down from the spirit line called legs. Whiskey has lots of legs, light-bodied. Whiskey has no legs, 1 or 2 slow ones, full-bodied. Smell, whiskey. That probably makes a lot of sense. So, raise your glasses. Slanjava.
Slanjava.
First taste, you're going to get that whiskey kick. Have another one. By the time you get to the 3rd taste, you decide, oh, it's good to eat.
Yeah.
Oh, it needs some water, etc. If you need some water, help yourself. I don't want to leave Hoover. It's my favourite room.
I know, it's so cool. It's just pretty, isn't it?
Yeah. Even if we've got people who we say we get people who don't like whiskey, they come here all the time. They still love this room. You don't have to be a whiskey drinker to appreciate this.
Could shoot a great music video here.
I'm sure someone's tried.
My favourite bit, tasting the whiskey.
If you ever go to Ireland, they say the same thing. You'll hear them say slanja, which just is a shortened version. They have less time over there, it seems. So they say slanja in Scotland. You can get away with that as well. The slanjava is the full term.
Slanjava. It tastes different to what I thought.
Yeah. I think
it's
on the
different
smell,
to what it smells like.
Yeah, on the smell and the nose, I'm getting all that sherry cask. On the taste, I get way more of the bourbon cask.
It's a bit sweeter than I thought it would be. Honestly, that was so much better than I expected. I thought, I didn't think it was going to be bad, but I learned a lot. I've made loads of notes, so I think we'll have to review them tomorrow when I've had a chance to sleep on it.
So if you want to follow me through here, this is a kind of a good view of the distillery in here.
Morning, it's another glorious day in sunny Edinburgh. So this morning I'm on the way to Holyrood Distillery, one of I believe 4 distilleries in Edinburgh, and the guys there have been kind enough to say they'll show me around and let me taste some of their whiskies to see, well, 1, to learn more, and 2, to see if they'll be right for this jam. So come with me! Can I get in? Nope. It's locked. Oh yeah, okay.
Your kind of understanding of whiskey and stuff, was that your first crash course you had yesterday?
So I like drinking whiskey, but
that's always a good start.
I didn't really have a huge amount of kind of knowledge about, especially about the different like areas or like the whiskey regions and stuff like that. Okay. So that's kind of new to me.
We're quite a unique distillery in terms of we don't have a lot of the, I guess, constraints that other ones have. But it's a really nice thing for us because we're a brand new distillery. We're in the capital city of Scotland, but before we opened our doors, there wasn't actually a single malt distillery in Edinburgh for nearly 100 years.
Oh wow!
So you think this should be
it should be like the hotbed.
Traditionally, what you had was loads of whiskey makers would bring their stuff to Edinburgh and then export to further in the world.
Right.
So this was kind of like where whiskey would be sold, but traditionally not where whiskey would be made.
Interesting.
The main thing that actually is big in Edinburgh is actually beer. Beer is the thing that like Edinburgh's known for. So like beer's like 80 shilling and stuff like that were all made here. We had our own version of like a London porter called the Black Cork, which is similar kind of vibe. So A lot of what we do is actually based off of beer making principles. Welcome. This is our kind of lounge room. But what we're really blessed with is the building that we're in. So this is like an old engine shed. This is us here at St Leonard's Lane. The main reason that you can see we also had things like Canongate Commercial and the Holyrood Brewery was the water quality in Edinburgh is so good for making beer.
Yeah.
This part of town was actually called the Charmed Circle because the water that ran underneath this part of the city was just like chemically absolutely perfect for making good beer, and conversely it's really good for making whiskey as well. But we use exactly the same water in our production as is coming out the taps of people's flats across the way from us there. And really unique that we're a urban distillery as well. Usually they're, like I say, up in the middle of nowhere or in the outskirts of town on an industrial estate. But here we are smack bang in the middle of people's flats and houses. Everything that we do is based off of flavour. That's what drives everything that we do. Normally, if you look at the rules of Scotch whisky making, it's actually a bit of a point of contention of mine that nowhere in the rules does it say it has to taste good. Yeah. It just has to have a lot of alcohol.
Yeah. Has to be at least 40%, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And 3 years in the cask, as you know from your education. But something that we did that was quite unique as well to show off our kind of flavour approach is we actually release our new make spirit. So this is the spirit before it goes into an oak cask and spends time to become whiskey.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we also love sharing what we do, which is not the done thing. Usually it's in like a dusty old book and it's they don't want you to usually look at
secrecy and stuff like that.
We put everything on there. Full recipe, cut points, how long we've fermented it, what yeast we've used, what barley. Because we're like, you know what, we love what we do, we want to share it. If people copy us, it's the best form of flattery.
Like genuinely, that's like so close to the way that we do things as well. Because
it's why when you reached out, I was like, this seems like a kind of
it's like
a good match, you know?
It is.
Scotland for a long time has kind of sat on this pedestal of whiskey, and I think we got far too comfortable. Just being like, well, Scotch whisky is the best whiskey, we don't have to worry about it. You look at the world now, you've got places like Japan, Canada, England, Wales, India, China, all making these amazing whiskies. So we're like inspired by it instead of feeling slighted by it. That's how we do it. And we just look at the toys they play with and we go, is there a way we can do that in Scotland? Does it fit the rules? And then we kind of go from there.
Cool.
Like I say, if somebody goes out and copies one of our recipes and makes a banging whiskey, then as whiskey fans, we just have more good whiskey to drink. So if you want to follow me through here, this is a kind of a good view of the distillery in here. Our whole distillery is these two walls that you see. We don't have a secret anything out the back or that. It's literally the two walls that you see in front of you here. With us having quite long and tall stills, what that means is that we, on paper, should have quite delicate, quite fruity spirit. We can run this low and slow in the classic style, get that lovely delicate fruity element, or we can crank it up to 11, we run it really hard, we put loads of heat in really fast, and what you get is a lot more of the kind of heavier, oilier character of the spirit coming through. And that can totally change it. So we can basically produce like a number of different spirits before we're even thinking about casks or the ingredients that goes into it. Just the kit itself allows us to kind of manipulate.
So cool.
If you want to
Thank you very much.
Here as well.
Lovely.
So this is the lab. This is Ian, one of our distillers here.
Hi mate.
Big fan of what you guys do. And this is kind of the hub of what we do. A big part of what we do is using specialty malts that you normally see in like beer making. So a couple of ones that we're big fans of here, if you want to have a little smell of this. You can't smell it through the camera, unfortunately. So this is what's called crystal malt. So you could literally pour milk in there and have that for your cereal, basically.
That's delicious.
Chocolate malt will be used.
Oh yeah.
And that's got like a kind of fresh cacao, kind of coffee sort of thing coming through.
It's a bit more adult, that one, isn't it?
If you're a fan of a pint of Guinness, that's your champion for the colour and flavour there.
Yeah.
Chevalier, so this is one of the oldest barley strains you can get commercially.
Nice.
This is from way back in sort of like 1830. There's records of them using this basically, all the way to kind of various stages of the modern day. And what's unique about this is the texture it gives you. To use a very Scottish word, it's very claggy. It like sticks to the tongue.
Nice, I like it.
I call it a bit of a Trojan horse because it's got this huge like staying power on the palate. So if you drink a whiskey with Chevalier in it, you're still tasting it on the bus home. Plumage Archer. So this is a really old one again. When you use this in a whiskey, we find you get like a toffee apple kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
So like really juicy, like lip smacking kind of spirit that you get from this one. So the fun for us is we've worked on all these in isolation and it's now how you kind of pair them up. So
That's
We've
really
done
cool.
recipes where we have maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 different types of malted barley in there. And it just helps you build these sort of complex layers of flavour that normally you would rely on 20 to 30 years in cask to build in. We can have it from the minute it comes over the tap in the still. My view is that it's 3 pillars of flavour. You have your malted barley, your yeast and your cask, and they're all working in tandem instead of, as I say, sometimes it's like a dirty little secret. They're like, don't even look at the new mate, just get it in the cask. Like, that's what they want. They don't want you seeing it. Traditionally in your distillery manager like myself is the be all end all when it comes to taste. My palate is king. I know everything better than everyone. That's not our approach here. Again, I think it's really important to be aware of like what I call flavour bias. So I'm born and raised in Scotland. We like things sweet, you know, we drink iron brew, we eat tablet. If it's sugary,
Yes.
we're probably going to love it. But not everyone has the same taste bud. So what we do here is anything that we're making will go through a panel of as many people as possible in the company.
Yeah,
It doesn't
great.
matter if you're on production, if you work in the shop, if you're an accountant. You get dragged up here by me and you've got to try a couple of
Brilliant.
whiskies. What a horrible day at work on a
Oh,
Friday.
I know.
Terrible.
It's a
Somebody's
tough
got
job. I mean, it makes
pizzas.
sense. If those are the people that are buying it, right?
Exactly. You know, if one guy's in the street screaming something's great, you just think he's crazy. But if there's
Yeah.
40 people, you're
Yeah.
like, oh, we better listen to what
Yeah,
they're saying.
yeah, absolutely.
And that's the approach that we do here as well. Most whiskey distilleries will make maybe 1 or 2 different types of spirit. In 2022 alone, we did 99 different recipes, which is mental. It's probably why I'm going bald.
I mean, it's like what we do with Club Maniac. It's like forever, like we put 4 up for voting and then 2 get made, and then of those maybe 1 will make it into the core range, and then if people don't buy it or with the feedback isn't as good as other stuff, that gets rotated out into a different place. So there's just this constant rotation of like products and ideas being tried all the time.
Do you
And
find you have fun with the really divisive ones? Because they're
Yes.
usually my favourites. Like the ones that split the room in half completely. They're always the ones that
Yeah.
kind of get my brain going. So yeah, we'll carry on and head down to the whiskey distillery itself. Everything had to make sure it could come through the double doors at the bottom, basically, because if it couldn't come in the building.
Yeah. Oh, the smell in here, yes.
Here we have the distillery. So this is where everything happens. So this is where everything begins for us. This is the mash tun.
Yeah.
Kind of have a little look in here. You can see it's a big vessel, and we've essentially got a number of kind of rakes in the middle there.
Oh, yeah.
The idea here is what we do is we have hot water coming from our hot liquor tank there, which is a very posh way to say giant kettle. We'll pour them in downstairs and they'll come up this grist screw that you see at the side here. That'll meet the hot water. It will come in through what we call the steel smasher, coming at a right angle there, and that will fire into the mash tun that we have. It's going to hit the rakes on the top, it's going to spread out,
Yeah.
and essentially what you're trying to get is a consistency of slightly watery porridge is the best way to describe it.
Nice.
We've got a perforated bottom on the tank here, and what's going to happen is the barley is floating in the water, and the water is going to grab all of the sugars that are inherent to the barley, and it's going to drag that out, and it's going to go through the bottom of the vessel, and it's going to carry on to the rest of the process. Again, if anyone wants to copy what we do, crack on. This is it where we've got it here. Now that produces what we call wort, W-O-R-T, which is like a really sugary warm cup of tea is how I
Yeah,
would describe it. If
nice.
you like 3 or 4 sugars in your tea, that's kind of what we're talking about
Yeah.
here. It's actually the basis of a cocktail that you can only get in a Scottish distillery called a Flying Scotsman.
Oh, nice.
Where you take your first runnings of your wort and the first runnings of the still coming over at about 70%, a couple of drops of that in there, and ready to rock and roll
I'll
at
put
7 o'clock in the morning.
I'll put
on
some
a
hairs
cold
on your
winter's
chest.
day. Aye, absolutely. That's a rite of passage when you're becoming a distiller. What we then do is we send it down around here to our fermentation vessels. So this is the kind of engine room of your whiskey. This is where we're going to add in our different types of yeast that's going to eat those sugars and in turn give us the alcohol that we're then going to distill and make a whiskey out of. And then you see at the bottom there, Black Death baker's yeast. So you'll remember during COVID, everyone was either making sourdough bread or learning to stand on their head. I can't stand on my head. So
No, same
what we
allowed to
did
sound
was
it.
we went down the sourdough route and we found a guy online who had a baker's yeast that he says, whether it's true or not, we don't know, dated back to the time of the Great Plague in London. So we got some in, we cultivated it, brought it to life, and we made a spirit out of it. And it is the weirdest thing that I have ever made or drank. It's like if you took a sourdough loaf and just blended it up
Wow.
with some booze, basically.
So that was like a sourdough starter
Yeah.
that had been going for that long.
Yeah, so he had a dried packet of it. We
Oh,
brought it
wow.
to life, rehydrated it, and then we added it in and produced some stuff with
Oh
that.
my
So
God.
those kind of things are the stuff that we love to do. Have just been like,
Mate.
shall we give it a go? Why not? Let's
That
see
is
what
so
happens.
cool.
So normally in Scotland, you're using plain malt basically, almost
Yeah.
exclusively as your main source of sugars for fermentation. But we've used basically, if you're allowed to use it in Scotch whisky, it's been through this building. Lovely kind of burnt note.
Mm.
So if you're a fan of, quite charred toast and things like
Yes.
that, you can get a bit of this.
When I was a kid, I used to get my mum deliberately to burn toast and put butter on it because I just loved that flavour.
That's
So.
it. It's a thing that people can turn their nose up at, and it can be divisive.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, if you're a fan of any kind of like really rich coffee or like a really dark beer, it's a flavour that folk love. And then you come to the final bit here, our stills. So what's going to happen is the yeast that we've added here is going to ferment. That's going to give us an alcohol level of about 8 to 10% ABV. It's essentially like a really strong beer without hops at this point.
Yeah.
The wash goes in, we're going to boil this, and alcohol obviously has a lower boiling point than water, so the idea here is we're boiling this, separating all the alcohol out. It travels all the way up our neck, along our line arm there, and then it hits this thing above us here, which is our condenser. So this is essentially a big copper tube, and it's got a spiral tube inside it surrounded by really cold water, and the vapor that we've produced is going to travel through the coil, and it's going to get cooled down rapidly from a vapor back to a liquid. It's going to come down the pipes, go all the way around, and it's going to go to our safe at the back here. So this is the heart of every single whiskey distillery, and this is really where the magic happens, to see the line from crib. So if you want to come under the line and follow me over here, this is going to be coming through at about 28 to 30% ABV, but
Okay.
this is not stuff you want to drink.
No.
It's dirty, it kind of smells like fish a little bit, you're having a real bad time if you are drinking this.
Yeah.
So we then need to distill it again.
Yeah.
So we'll take what we produce from there and we'll put it into our spirit still on this side of the room that we have here. Now, we're slightly reduced, we've gone from 5,000 litres to 3,750 litres,
Yeah.
but this is the real deal here. So your whiskey production, the spirit is split into 3 parts: your heads, your hearts and your tails.
Yes, I learned about that yesterday.
Yeah, there
My-
you go. So your heads is the volatile stuff. That's the stuff that will make you go blind and send you to the hospital if you drink it. So we have a procedure and a kind of time-based thing to know how long before all of that is left the building, so to speak. So we separate that off. That gets captured and reused in every single run that we do. Once we're happy that the volatile alcohols are gone and we're onto the good stuff,
Yeah.
we'll turn the handle on the top here to this jar, and this is where we capture the hearts. And then what we do is we'll capture that here. We can measure it with the jars on the side here to see the alcohol content. And then once we're happy that we've reached the level of alcohol, the flavour is where we want it to be, we go back, we capture the tails, and then the tails and the heads get recycled in every single run.
And it's the middle bit you want, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because the tails is too weak, the heads is too strong, middle bit's...
Absolutely.
Right.
But what's great is you can play around with how big that middle section is. So
okay.
if you want to have it really nice and sort of fruity and delicate, you do a really thin cut.
Yeah.
You get very little alcohol, but what you get is a really intense flavour. Whereas you can go really wide and you start to capture some of the more interesting notes you don't normally see. For us, when we use things like the chocolate malt, you want to go for a wide cut because that's the only time that starts to appear. An example would be, I had an idea, I wanted to make a Jaffa Cake whiskey. That's what I was going for.
Oh, love that.
You can use the brown malt for a bit of hazelnut, use Kvike for that orange note, you get a bit of biscuitiness in there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you want to go for playing around with the cut to see like where is the orange flavour, but where are we getting that sort of cakiness as well.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't quite go the way I wanted, but this is the fun part,
Yeah.
is then you chuck it in another barrel and you can totally take it down a different route as well. We store our casks off-site purely because Edinburgh Council, I don't think would be too happy with thousands of pretty explosive barrels right next to somebody's house. So we fill our spirit to receivers here and then send it to our warehouse off-site to get filled into our casks. The final part, the bit that most people talk about, their cask. So there's all kinds of different styles that you can use. In Scotland, it must be an oak cask. That's the kind of key thing, so we can't use any different styles of wood. And the sizes can range anywhere from a really small one about this big called a blood tub, which is pretty metal and we love that, all the way up to our massive butts here, which again, if you want to laugh at the warehouse, just roll a couple of butts around and the puns come rolling in from the entire team. This is one that we actually changed into a kind of unit to hold our glasses and stuff, which is quite cool.
It looks like a medieval torture device,
yeah,
doesn't
I'll put them in Iron Maiden. It's got about that to it. Now, historically, as I said, this is where a lot of your flavour is coming from, but for us, because of the work we do through there, it changes how you think about a cask. The example I would use is normally, if you want those, you know, you can put it into a sherry cask, get those lovely kind of raisin, kind of red fruit flavours coming through. But we could do something like use sherry yeast in our production there.
Yeah.
All of a sudden those flavours are baked in there. Do you want to put that in a sherry cask and just turn it into an absolute nuclear sherry bomb that's hitting all the flavour? Or do you put it in something else and build those kind of complex layers in? So it's really fun for us as whiskey makers to have so much interest in spirit to then put in different styles of cask, different sizes to change the level of maturation. Obviously, if you're going for a big 50-year-old whiskey that you want to keep for ages, you'll put it in something like this where it's got low surface area, it's not going to be quite as thirsty. You kind of fill this up, by the end of it you could, you know, get to 25, 30 bottles out of all of this spirit because it's been there for so long. Or you put it in something small like one of these guys, rapid maturation, like great surface area contact. All of a sudden you can kind of egg the pudding and change it. So something that has only been in there for 3 to 5 years can taste closer to what a traditional 8 to 10-year-old whiskey.
Interesting.
Like.
Do you use any kind of like virgin barrels that haven't been used before?
Absolutely. I think it's been a really important thing for us with all the work we've done to make that cool spirit. We put it into brand new oak casks because we can see how it works in isolation. If we drown it in a sherry cask, is the sherry giving us that flavour or is it the spirit?
No, it's very
and it's
true.
The funny thing adjusting from beer to whiskey is if you're making a beer, you know, 2 weeks you're sitting there drinking the pint going, we nailed it, or you go, I'd have done this better. With whiskey, you're at least 3 years before you're able to judge it effectively, and even then you could be having it sitting there for years and years and years before you go, we've cracked it here. And so that feedback loop is so much bigger. So,
it's like generational almost, isn't
exactly.
it?
Like I'm laying stuff down that I might never even see the next guy is going to be working with, you know? It's their problem at that point. I'll let you kind of smell this. So this is the plumage archer that I mentioned upstairs with the kind of toffee apple vibe.
Nice.
We've just emptied this guy for our fill your own downstairs, so get your nose in there and have a little smell of this.
Go on. Oh, yes. That, that's giving me like Christmas something.
Christmas good. Do you drink port at Christmas?
Yes, that's it.
There you go. So it's an export cask. So
that's it.
You've got a future in whiskey, my friend. That's you started. Another thing that we try and do that's different in whiskey is we don't tell you how to drink it. If you want to drink it neat, crack on. If you want to put water, ice, if you want to drink it with soda, ginger ale, hell, if you want to mix it with Coke or Iron Brew, it's your whiskey, you drink it how you want. I think this old notion that it's old guys in their tweed jackets sitting by the fire with their cigars, we're not that kind of distillery. Old guys with tweed are of course always welcome, but we think there should be whiskey, should be for everyone.
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
trying to kind of lead that charge.
Nice.
Well. All the way through here, we'll head to the bar. I've got a few drams set up for us to have a little taste of.
Oh, lovely.
Good thing you took the train today. Just want to grab a seat here. I've got
wow, you've got
good
it
seat
all.
with a view of our first seat.
Look at that.
So, I've got 3 whiskies here. Picked these out because the ones that we like, but also I think they could work in what you're kind of looking to go for here. So the first one I'm going to kind of give to you here. This is amber. So that's an old Scots word for the colour amber. Obviously, lovely kind of amber colour coming through from this. So this is a really great whiskey and showing off both our kind of brewing heritage, but also going back to what I mentioned about the kind of sweet tooth that we have in here. So the crystal malt you smelled upstairs, the kind of red hue to it, the kind of toffee caramel flavours, you've got that in there. You've got a little bit of Vienna malt, which gives you a nice kind of freshly cracked open baguette kind of flavour quite often. and a kind of big cocktail of yeasts in here as well. A variety of classic brewing yeast like Nottingham Ale, and some wine yeast in there as well. And we've got a single peated cask in here to give it the kind of air of maturity that it normally wouldn't have. I kind of call this a dessert whiskey. It's quite sweet.
Yeah,
Scotch tablet kind of vibes.
Straight on, like, it's very like almost caramelly sweet. We're gonna dive straight in.
Yeah. Cheers.
Oh yeah. Wow. That is really nice because it's got, like you say, it's kind of got this maturity to it, but it's accessible as well.
We've got a little bit of chocolate malt in there as well. You get that slightly kind of bitter note on the end of like kind of cacao, freshly ground coffee, as I say.
Like sweet but slightly burnt.
Yeah.
Sort of like caramelized flavour.
I was about to say it's pure caramel coming through. Moving on from the amber, if I'm honest, prime jam territory is where we're coming to kind of here. So we just released this as a trilogy. I've actually run out of one of them, so it's a duology of the trilogy here. But what we did is a series that we call the Noir series. We took different French winemaking strains of yeast. We used it in the production of the whiskies, and then they were all matured in bourbon casks for most of their maturation life, and then they were all put into casks from the wines that the yeasts were kind of drawn from for 14 months to age. So we put a bit of the flavour into the yeast, and then we tie it off with a bowl with a cask at the end. Slangevar, like I say, joining those pillars of flavour together. Totally very reminiscent of the wines that's in the cask beforehand there. It's banging one for if you've got a pal who likes a good red wine but isn't quite sure about whiskey. This is again is like luring them into our world.
Because what I'm always trying to think of is like, what are flavours that would not get overwhelmed by like fruits, like flavours that would complement that and then stand on their own.
And then the last one you've got here is the Burgundy.
Okay.
So again, very rich wine, really rich spirit. We produced it. I would say we're leaning much more red fruit territory than we are with the.
That one's the darkest of the three.
Yeah, you can see the colour on that. It's really red. See what you think of this one.
Let's have like a wine guy now.
This is it. This is the hard part. It's hard not to dip into like weird pretentious territory when we do this, but you gotta just run
Am
with
I
it.
mad to say cherries? Kind of like almost, but like not like glacé, but like kind of like dark.
Your fancy taste the difference ones in the shop, you know what I mean? Yeah, the ones you're paying a little bit more for. Kind of blackberries kind of thing coming through. Bilberries are a term for them.
I'm gonna try it in a chair.
No, you're not good.
Too keen. Whoa, is that one stronger?
So that is stronger than the Bordeaux, but weaker than the Amber.
That's crazy. That is interesting.
It's got that nice astringent dryness that kind of, you're like, it feels, it's like a little bit peppery, like white pepper kind of vibe on the back of the tongue. But it makes your mouth water straight away, and you're like, that with a couple of Pretzels or something, and you'll be putting that bottle out with the milk bottles in the morning.
I think that's the one I like the most, actually.
That's my personal favourite out of the Noir ones we did.
I think like, that is really delicious. Sticks with you.
That's what I mean. You want something that's like I say, you're on the way to the bus stop to head home, and after your tasting, and you've still got it kind of mulling over your taste buds. It's like a cool savoury note that you're kind of getting in there, or like. A different dimension.
And this one is
that's the Burgundy.
My idea was to kind of add a couple of flavours that sort of complement the whiskey, so it sort of brings out the kind of natural flavours that are in it already.
You know, the other thing you could do as well is you could even like steep your apples and blackberries in the whiskey and let it like infuse that way and soak it in.
My biggest fear is that we get this really nice whiskey, but then like it just gets lost. The one that I'm leaning towards is this one, because it's got complementary flavours, which are sort of like, you know, the usual sort of vanilla-y, and it's already very fruity, but it's also got some other stuff there as well that I think wouldn't get lost. So like I said, that sort of the longer aftertaste, it was the pepperiness in this one, wasn't it, that we were talking about. I think that would work super well because you'd actually still be able to taste that.
That's probably, it's got probably more gaps in it to fill in with other flavours. There's a lot of woodiness in that one as well, which I think would carry through.
The more I drink it, the more I'm getting other stuff as well. Well, dude, I can't thank you enough.
No, absolutely class.
I can't believe this is my job.
Yeah, tell me about it. I'm like, Wednesday, is it? Alright, yeah, cool. Really glad you reached out, to be honest. Like, we're always happy to have folk that are like-minded about doing cool stuff.
I know.
So.
That was one of the coolest things I've ever done. Like, I've come out feeling like I've just made new best friends. Like, those guys are so cool. Oh, anyway, yeah, this is going to be amazing.
Big horses before you look at zebras, you know. Up or left. You've never seen rats now. Well, you know, it was a bit sketchy. But I don't know if you're taking my street late night. Don't really want to be. Actually, buddy, if you want to just strip off and get in the circle.
Oh, absolutely. Thought you'd never ask.
George first noticed these blocks.
So I just did a creepy tour of some vaults. Didn't really have a huge amount to do with whiskey, but it was fun. One whiskey related thing though that I did find out was these vaults are basically under this bridge that was built in the 1600s, I think. Doesn't look like a bridge because there's houses either side, but it has like these vaulted supports for the bridges, and they were supposed to be used to store items for merchants in years and years ago, but no one used them in the end because basically they just leaked. So they ended up getting filled with like vagrants, and then after that lots of people doing lots of illegal stuff. One of the illegal things they did was brew this like what they called vaults whiskey, and it was basically like super strength whiskey that was kind of half whiskey, half moonshine, brewed down only in these vaults. That became very, very popular because it was really cheap and really strong. So yeah, just another part of Edinburgh's rich whiskey related history. So here I am at 11 Whiskey Quay for the Port of Leith Distillery, our second distillery stop. It's just a very tall building, look. Here we are.
This is, I think, actually what I was looking for, and I didn't.
The world's tallest distillery just kind of happened right next door. The Royal Yacht Britannia, which used to belong to the royal family, sailed around the world on it, and it was decommissioned. Edinburgh won the bidding war for it, and it's been stationed there since 1998 as a tourist attraction. Basically, people walk around and look at the Queen's old bed and stuff. Very weird, but nonetheless. To the right there, we get 27 tons of malted barley put in there. What it does is it scoops the barley up from the silo, takes it over there. The barley is then dropped into the mill over there, and the chain comes back along this pipe. Fill with low wines, and
Did it. So all done at the Port of Leith Distillery. I was worried for a second there because they haven't actually released any single malt whiskey yet because they're such a new distillery, but they do have this very, very nice, it's a Scotch whisky, but it's a blended whiskey that they've put together from various other things, so may have to get a bottle of that and do some tests when I'm back. But once again, all the people that own these or run or work at these distilleries are so passionate about what they do. It just makes, it's kind of inspiring. It's hard not to be inspired. Anyway, I'm going to go home, think on all of this stuff, and then tomorrow I'm going to tell you what my thoughts are, because right now I've had several whiskies and need some sleep. So I've had some sleep, time to, I guess, reflect on this rather whirlwind trip to Edinburgh. It's been great, first of all. I've had so much fun. I was about to make a joke about the fact that because Jen isn't here, it's nothing to do with that. It's just something that, like, I think the main thing has been how geeky these people are. And it's just really cool to meet other people that are as geeky about the thing that they create as we are at Condimaniac. So that's just been really, really fun. Whiskey, like food, is steeped in tradition and surrounded by rules, but just like we're doing in the condiment world, there are a lot of new distilleries that get excited about going against the grain, pun intended. See, there's lots of grain puns available there. There's the grain of the wood, the grain that they use in the whiskey. Take your pick. Yeah, particularly Holyrood Distillery. Those guys are really at the cutting edge of sort of pushing the boundaries of what is okay when it comes to creating a whiskey, because whiskey's this old, it's an institution almost in itself. It's protected because obviously it's a huge part of the Scottish economy now, and they're really flirting with the boundaries of what you're allowed to do. Obviously you're only allowed to have the 3 ingredients, it has to be in the barrel for 3 years, all of that kind of stuff. They're messing with everything else that they're kind of allowed to mess with, which I kind of respect and I think is really, really cool. I've learned a lot about the flavour profiles that I didn't know before. So there's the 5 whiskey regions, they can affect the flavour, but there's loads of different things that ultimately make a good Scotch, from the grain to the way that you cut the spirit, and so much is down to personal taste. I think that's really important. Like, some people like that super smoky, peaty whiskey, and that's fair enough. It's not for me. I don't mind a little bit of smoke, but some of them just taste like barbecue sauce and you don't want that. There's so many kinds of whiskey. There are so many things that you can possibly draw on. Actually, right here, hopefully it won't knock the camera, we got this little scratch and sniff thing when we were at the Scotch Whisky Experience, and it's still got the kind of different smells from all of the different whiskey regions. So I'm definitely going to take that home. Next on my list. Why can't I speak? Still early in the morning, sorry guys. The reason that a lot of whiskey tastes like vanilla is because, I didn't know this, but oak, the wood oak, contains something called vanillin, which is basically where there's also in vanilla, and it's what the flavour of vanilla comes from. So literally, like, there's a scientific reason. It's not like we're just making it up. It's like there's actually vanilla flavour in the oak that goes into the whiskey, which is really, really cool. I've also found the history of whiskey to be incredible. I mean, I'm a bit of a history nerd. I love that kind of stuff, but there's just been so many things that happened, and the landscape around whiskey has changed so much over the centuries. So I remember being told on the first day about how Campbellton used to be like the whiskey capital, and there was like, can't remember if it was 20 or 40 distilleries there at one time, and there's now only 2. That place is kind of synonymous with the more peaty whiskey, which has kind of ebbed and flowed in popularity. There was obviously everything we learned about you might not have heard, I don't know if I was filming then, but basically taxes have played a massive part in the popularity of whiskey, especially within Scotland. Found out that there was a lot of illegal whiskey making pre-1823, as the taxes were so high. So whiskey I imagine taxes have changed like all through history, but pre-1823, like, taxes on whiskey were so high that there was a lot of these underground distilleries that would just kind of off the books make whiskey and sell it kind of, around town, but no one was supposed to know about it. But then I think it was George IV went to Scotland, or he was in Scotland, and he basically admitted to liking how much he liked one of these illegal whiskies, and then Parliament kind of panicked and realised that they had to, or didn't have to, but they probably should lower the taxes on whiskey. And after 1823, when the taxes were lowered, there was a real boom in whiskey popularity because it was affordable again, basically. I've also learned that whiskey collectors are very serious people. Like, on the first day when we went to the Scotch Whisky Experience and we saw the collection of like around 3,500 bottles of whiskey, found out that guy was so rich who collected that whiskey that he bought 2 bottles of every single one. So one of them was for him to drink and one of them was for the collection. So can you imagine just how much he spent on whiskey over the years? Also, another fun fact, we found out that the Brazilian chap who started the collection that Diageo later bought, only recently died at the age of 93. So, yeah, I'm going to take from that drinking whiskey is good for you. But I guess more importantly, what does this mean for the jam? All of this stuff that we've learned, all of these techniques, all of these flavours, none of it matters unless I can take some of this away, take it home and think about how it's going to impact the product that we make for the next Club Maniac box, and then if it's popular, maybe it will go into the core range. So I think my gut tells me that a peaty whiskey isn't going to work because we just don't want that smoky flavour amongst the jam. Now, PT Whiskey, like Calum at Holyrood said, is kind of a go-to for a lot of people who use whiskey in foods or sauces because it's such a strong flavour and it can stand up amongst other things. But I don't think we want a jam that kind of tastes like smoky bacon, especially when it's like a blackberry jam. So I think what we need is a whiskey with a lot of character, can also stand up amongst those flavours. So I did really like the Burgundy Noir by Holyrood. Definitely going to get a bottle of that to try and see if we can do something with it, because it was obviously made in those Burgundy barrels, and I think it was, even though it wasn't smoky, which is good, it had enough there to be able to stand up amongst all of the other flavours of a jam. And it had this kind of natural fruitiness to it as well, which I think would work really well. The second thing I think I've realised is what's going to be important is maybe adding some things to the jam to accentuate the natural flavours of the whiskey. So vanilla, maybe, obviously the natural vanilla flavours, we might just want to amp that up a little bit. Maybe even like Holyrood was saying about how they're putting salt in their gin. That could be cool. We could try a little pinch of salt, just a tiny bit, just to bring out the flavours. So I think we're going to have to experiment with a lot of ways of sort of picking out, enhancing the natural flavours of the whiskey. Because one risk, I think, the biggest risk with this whole thing as a business is the fact that whiskey isn't cheap. We should be okay. Obviously, whiskey's pretty strong. We might find we're absolutely fine. But yeah, that's my only worry, because buying a barrel of whiskey ain't going to be cheap. And just from experience of putting Guinness in the second breakfast sauce, that wasn't cheap either, and that was Guinness. So whiskey's going to be definitely more punchy in price. Honourable mention to the Leith, Port Leith Distillery. Like, they haven't actually released their first bottle of single malt yet, but that table whiskey they had was absolutely delicious. The building was incredible. The story around how they created this building, it cost them, like, they built it from scratch. They bored this hole into the ground to tap into a natural aquifer which went underneath the bay of Leith, so they could get this water. It's a vertical distillery, so it's all like, there's lots of science there, but the whole thing was incredible, and again, the passion was amazing. I guess the last thought I would leave you guys with is, one thing that I kind of wanted to do, because it'd just be good for content, was try and annoy some Scottish people by adding Coke to whiskey, Coke to good whiskey, because that's how I drink it at home. I'm a bit of a heathen, and none of them really cared. It seems to me the overarching feeling in Scotland is just, if you're drinking whiskey, it's good for us. You drink it however you want to drink it. We don't care. But as long as you're drinking it, then we're happy. Scottish people win again. I love these people. Like, genuinely, every time I come, Glasgow, Edinburgh, they just have this natural baseline of kind of friendliness that it shows up in England, especially in northern England, but down south where I live is much less prevalent. So I'll be back as soon as I can. Anyway, hope you guys have found this first video that we've done, or first long form video that we've done, interesting. I've now got my work cut. Why can't I speak? I've now got my work cut out for me editing. So pray for me, and we'll be doing more of these soon. Lots of love. Bye.